All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Armada Smokescreen and Liftor. Yeah, this is another one that I've had since I was a kid here, and it's an okay figure. It has some fun stuff going on, but definitely this is one that is not aged, I would say, super well, which generally is the case with a lot of the Armada toys. It was a really fun sort of like gimmicky toy line, but they don't really do so hot in the case of like articulation or good looking proportions or, stuff like that. So this is definitely one that I think could use a pretty decent update. But yeah, he turns into a little crane truck kind of construction vehicle mode here and looks okay. I don't know if any vehicles exactly like this really exist in the real world, but it works for what it is. It rolls decently. I find that the front wheels don't always activate, and he's got this thing in the back here where he's got this tow line basically that you can actually unspool and hook onto things, which is pretty cool. It just has like a little string here. And he has this little switch on the back here that if you have it like this, it's supposed to be the back wheels aren't engaged with the mechanism. Sometimes you can see it is still kind of pulling it in a little bit. But if you activate this switch, that kind of like gears these together so that when you actually drive him forward, it, in theory, actually like ties this back up, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. It's a decent mechanism. You do kind of have to push it down onto the table a pretty decent amount, but I do like that you can kind of switch on and off whether or not that is activated. I wish that this stayed a little bit better, in either case. I wish that the hook actually like clipped over this bar a little bit better, because it does tend to like come undone. But it's a neat mechanism. Also, where he's got his little Autobot logo here, he's got a little like a hatch where you could, this is presumably where someone would enter this vehicle, which is a little bit strange because like it's not a tank, but whatever. Kind of neat. And then he's got this crane arm here, which has a little bit of articulation. You can bend it up 2 clicks there. The hook itself is on a little hinge. And then this is how the mini-con gimmick works on this guy. If we take Liftor here, who's one of the mini-cons that's named after a GoBot, which I think is kind of fun. If you plug him into the crane here, then that activates, and then you can kind of slide this up like this. And then once you slide it all the way up, this doesn't work quite as well as it used to, but this is on a spring, so it kind of flips out like that. So you can give him this big, ridiculous gun. And now, obviously this kind of stays, but if you don't want it to, flip that over, you can just not pull it quite as long so that, the gun piece is still stuck under here. So you can just have like a longer hook crane. Additionally, if you want the gun out, but you don't want it to be that long, then you can slide it back so it's a little bit less ridiculous. It's still pretty ridiculous, but whatever. You can kind of pull the hook down there. It's got a little trigger here. I've, long since lost the missile, so unfortunately I don't have that anymore, but it's a neat gimmick. I think it works fairly well. It's also one of those ones where it's like you don't really need the mini-con to activate it. Like, it definitely helps, but you can definitely force the mechanism, which probably not great for it in the long term, but it's definitely doable if you don't always want to have the mini-con on hand, or if you lost the mini-con or whatever. So yeah, decent vehicle mode. And then in terms of Liftor here, very strange little vehicle mode for this guy. It kind of looks like a cross between like a forklift and like a dune buggy. As you can see, it's got like the lights up here and a little, sculpted roll cage in the back, and then obviously like the tongs in the front here. I don't think a vehicle like this really exists, but yeah, for what it is, it's neat. Rolls okay. I find it has kind of a hard time staying exactly oriented how you'd like it to. Like, not everything has like a locking place, but it's a cute little vehicle, and it looks good next to Smokescreen there. In terms of comparisons, just to start with a comparison for Liftor here. Here he is with a modern day Micromaster with a powertrain there, just because he's, blue and orange. Not the same blue and orange, but whatever. That's what he looks like with one of those. Here he is for a standard size comparison with Kingdom Sideswipe, just so you can see what he looks like with a average size modern deluxe, since these guys were technically like Super-Con class or something like that. It's basically the deluxes for the time. They just had a different weird name. But that's what they look like together. And then for some more modern Armada comparisons, here he is with the cab version, the cab section of the recent Commander class Optimus Prime from Armada, and the Legacy Evolution Deluxe hot shot just so you can see what he looks like with them. Again, it's like I think that this figure really needs a modern update to actually fit in with them, but in vehicle mode, I think that they blend in fairly well together. But yeah, in terms of the transformation, we'll just take Liftor and put him off to the side for now. First thing you want to do, again, you see this kind of comes unhooked every now and again, which is kind of annoying. Wish I had some mechanism to actually like lock it so it wasn't trying to unspool, but whatever. You just want to take these little kind of side panel sections and just rotate them onto the front of the legs like that. They tab into these kind of hook tabs right there. And then once you've done that, then you can untab this section from the rest of it and then rotate this down, and it's kind of on this extended bit, which you just compress in just like that. Then you want to separate the legs. They've got like a tab right here, or like a little, locking tab right there and a little locking tab right here. So I find it's best to like rotate it out this way. So you're unhooking that tab and then allowing this one to slide out of that slot. And then you just want to rotate it the rest of the way forward like that, and then take his feet and rotate them down just like that. Then we can take his arms here, which are just going to be, the sort of windshield sections here, untab them and rotate them to the side like this. And then each of them independently has a little slider that they slide forward on this joint here, just to, get them more in line with the body. And then we can extend these and then rotate them down to the side just like that. And then last but not least, you can rotate the entire crane section around, which kind of like automorphs the head around with it, which does mean that like in, truck mode, if you're rotating this around, you are also rotating the head around. You can move them independently of each other. They're just kind of, like it just kind of acts like a little ratchet joint. But if you want them, kind of in line with each other, that's how it's supposed to be. And there we have Smokescreen in his robot mode. And yeah, he's pretty awkward, I would say. This is really, I think, the part of this figure that is not aged super well. And it's super annoying, this like section, especially because it's on his chest too. He doesn't have like a ton in the way of articulation. Like I said, the head can swivel, but it's tied to this, but you can move it independently of that. So, that's fine. The shoulders can swivel forward here at the shoulder. They do kind of bump into the wheel wells at a certain point. They can also rotate out to the side like that. Doesn't really have much in the way of elbows or bicep swivel. No bicep swivel at all. The elbows you're getting about that much, which is just wiggle on the sliding joint there. So that's not really anything. He's got kind of sculpted hands on the inside there, which you can't honestly even see from most angles. So not great. Nothing at the waist. The hips can go forward only about that far before they bump into the waist piece. Back about the same. And then out to the side about that far. He's got a thigh swivel just for transformation. No knees, no even really place that looks like there's, sculpted knees. He kind of just has these like slabs for legs, and then the toes can only bend forward. But, without knees, I don't know what you're really doing with that. Like, I guess you can kind of get that going on. But yeah, I don't think that looks particularly great. So yeah, no elbows and no knees is pretty rough for a deluxe class figure, or similar scale there. And then obviously the crane has the same articulation as it did before. So not great, but it is kind of what it is. And then in terms of Liftor here, for transformation for him, you can just unfold the legs here and then unpeg them from each other. Take these little, the actual little like forklift tongs there, and just rotate them out to the side, and then rotate this whole section back. You can kind of rotate it as back as you want. You can kind of have it more out to the side, or, further down. I tend to do it as further down as I can, just because, it creates less of an issue for him standing in robot mode. Then take this little section and also flip that back, and then just unfold the arms at the elbow there. There we have Liftor in his little robot mode. And yeah, he's cute. He's a pretty good mini-con, I would say. He's definitely got a pretty significant amount of kibble there, but honestly, if you have it rotated the right way, he doesn't have too hard of a time standing. In terms of articulation for him, the head is on a swivel, which is nice. Doesn't move all the way around, but decent amount. It's also got one eye bigger than the other. The shoulders are on swivels, so they can't go out to the side, but they can rotate up and down. He's got a full elbow bend just for transformation. Obviously nothing at the waist. The hips are on ball joints, so they can rotate forward and back. Can't really go out to the side much. And get like a minor amount of like swivel there. And then he's got a pretty deep knee bend for transformation. So not fantastic, but honestly, like, more articulated than Smokescreen. So that's pretty good for a mini-con, I would say. He's got knees and elbows, which is, even our core class Studio Series Rumble doesn't have elbows. So, yeah, I think he holds up a little bit better. But yeah, that's what they look like together. Now, in terms of other size comparisons, Here they are again with Sideswipe and Powertrain, respectively. Just so you can see some average Deluxe and Micromaster scale there. You know, pretty much on par. Here they are again with Optimus and Hotshot from the Legacy Evolution line. Just so you can see what he looks like with them. Obviously, you know, they fit in fairly well in vehicle mode, but not so much in robot mode. I would say he definitely looks a little bit stumpy compared to them. It'd be nice to have a new version of Smokescreen, especially because, like, you know, this is pretty much a different character than like G1 Smokescreen. They don't think they really have much in common. It's just two different guys who use the same name. So it'd be nice to get a new version of this version of Smokescreen. And then last but not least, just because, you know, they kind of did this a lot in the show, here he is with one of the versions of the Skyboom shield, because in the show he would usually, like, you know, have this plugged onto his lift arm here and then kind of like eject it to Optimus Prime or Hotshot or whoever was using it, which was kind of a cool effect. So you can kind of recreate that from the show. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. It's a neat figure. Obviously, you can still do the Minicon gimmick in this mode, and, you know, use the big gun there, or, you know, pull it back. Kind of looks funny with him just kind of hanging off the top loosely in this mode. But yeah, you know, still works. It's still a fun enough gimmick. It's not too obtrusive, I feel like, because of the way, you know, he's got these kind of like big feet. And honestly, he doesn't have much of heels, but because he's always got the crane pointed in this direction, that doesn't really matter. Like, if you push him over, he'll fall over. But since his center of gravity is kind of pulled forward by the crane arm, it's not really too big of an issue. But yeah, you know, so you can still use all of that in this mode. But yeah, you know, that's pretty much all there is to him. It's an okay figure for what it is, but definitely I think it could use an update with some elbows and knees, among other things. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure to check me out on my Instagram account. That's toys.n.art. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Armada Super-Con class Smokescreen and Liftor.